members. So this afternoon, we're privileged to welcome Suellen McCallum, partner at DVT McLeod's, and Angela Bensman, senior manager at DVT McLeod's. Suellen is a partner at DVT Group, a specialist accounting and advisory firm focused on business growth and distress. She has extensive expertise in insolvency, turnaround management, business valuations, and expert witness engagements. With over 40 years of experience, Suellen offers a pragmatic approach to client and referral solutions, coupled with a keen eye for detail that ensure high-quality investigative accounting work when needed. Her confident and knowledgeable approach to expert reports is highly valued. Suellen holds several qualifications, including being a registered liquidator and a certified business valuer. She is also a director and member of Association of Independent Insolvency Practitioners. Angela Bensman is a senior manager at DVT Group. She brings over 20 years of experience in accounting, including forensic accounting, expert witness reporting, and litigation support across public and private sector engagements. Angela is known for managing complex, high-profile investigations with rigor and precision. She has also worked closely with New South Wales Organised Crime Detective and Government Department on forensic investigation and public examinations. Angela holds a graduate diploma in commerce from Deakin University and qualification in insolvency practice from Bond University. She is a member of the Institute of Public Accountants. So please welcome Suellen and Angela from DVT McLeod's.
Thank you, Teddy.
Thank you. Good evening. We ready to go?
I think so.
Shall we start?
Yeah.
Sorry. Good evening, everyone. We're here to guide you through the upcoming changes to Australia's anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing regime and what that means to accountants. As Teddy has already given the acknowledgement of country, I will go past this. Okay. Australia is introducing tranche 2 reforms which extend the AML CTF obligations to accountants for the first time. This is being done to bring Australia in line with global standards set by the Financial Action Task Force, the international body that sets anti-money laundering rules. It is not just about compliance, it's about protecting the Australian financial system from criminal abuse, including money laundering and the financing of terrorism. The good news is that professional bodies such as CPA Australia are working with AUSTRAC, the regulator, to provide practical tools and sector-specific guidance. Okay, so let's have a look at the timeline. In November 2024, the reforms were passed into law. In December 2024, they were formally enacted. March 2025, the first change takes effect, which is the revised tipping off provisions that govern what you can and cannot say to clients about suspicious matter reports. And by the 31st of March 2026, transitional obligations begin. You will need to have registered with AUSTRAC and started meeting base obligations. By the 1st of July 2026, full compliance is mandatory. You do have until the 29th of July 2026 to comply with the full compliance and enrol with AUSTRAC.
So when you say enroll with AUSTRAC, do you have to provide them with details or who you are, or whatever?
Who your company is, what services you provide, and have your profile, risk profiles and everything ready for that. AUSTRAC is not expecting instant perfection. They want harm reduction from risk reduction from day one. This means board accountability. Your partners or directors must actively oversee the implementation. They want continuous improvement, that you show progress over time, not just a once-off compliance push. Documentation. Keep detailed records of risk decisions, why you made them and how you acted on them. It's not about ticking the boxes, it's about designing systems that match your firm's size, services and risk exposure. Under the new regime, accountants will be formally recognised as designated non-financial businesses and professions. If you're involved in certain activities, for example, helping a client buy or sell real estate, setting up a company or trust, or managing client funds, you will come under this umbrella. AUSTRAC is expected to release more information on designated services in October this year. This means more rigorous client onboarding, verification, and monitoring. The client relationship will change, and we as accountants need to be ready for the shift.
So is there an expectation that we have to verify each individual?
You will have different risk levels for different client types, and the verification will be different for each of the risk. If you've got a high client you see as high risk, your verification processes will be more rigorous. If they're low risk, they won't be as rigorous.
So we define high, low, and medium risk then?
It's up to the firm to work out. AUSTRAC will give guidance, and I will talk through some of those risks.
Sorry, very interesting topic. I think the impact is pretty substantial.
It is. So from 1st of July 2026, accountants, lawyers and real estate agents all join the list of regulated entities. The key trigger is whether you're providing a designated service. And for accountants, that means people who are assisting with significant transactions. If you're helping to form or manage companies or trusts, if you're handling client assets. The earlier you start adapting your systems and educating your clients, the smoother the transition will be. The key changes to the regime. AUSTRAC are moving from we as accountants are moving from a purely rule-based compliance model to one that is more risk-based. You will need to apply different levels of due diligence depending on the risk. Simplified for low-risk clients, standard for most, and enhanced for high-risk clients. Verify beneficial ownership. That means identifying any individual who ultimately owns or controls 25% or more of a company or trust. Check for politically exposed persons, which is individuals in positions of public trust who present a higher risk of corruption or abuse of funds. Designated services. For accountants, this will include the transactional support, so that involves helping clients buy or sell a business or real estate. Legal and corporate services, establishing companies, creating trusts, acting as a nominee. Financial handling, managing client bank accounts, securities, or cryptocurrency holdings. If you're doing any of these, you'll need to apply AML CTF controls.
I mean, cryptocurrency is it's like the most hardly tracked commodity. How is the accountant supposed to?
It's going to cost a lot.
Yeah. I think,
How are we supposed to sorry?
I know, there's
That's-
only, we've been discussing this, we think there's only so far you can trace it,
Yeah.
you know.
The whole purpose of a cryptocurrency on a cold wallet
It's
is
the secrecy.
particularly it's the secrecy.
that's right. Yeah.
So imagine the accountant have to ask the client, say, hey, hand over your hard a cold wallet so I can do a verification.
Well, our thought was that, of course, the client will know the wallets they own and hopefully know who the owner of the wallet is that they're transferring the funds to. And that's probably as far as you can take it.
I was just
We don't
they're
see-
probably going to have more changes in legislation for access. If they want to have
Yeah.
that sort of system controlled, you can't have that without the ability to
I
find out
mean,
more
just-
information. It's to us, it's a bit vague, too vague at the moment.
I mean, just thinking on a devil advocate sort of situation. I mean, if I'm not saying I am, but let's just say if I'm the T, but I mean, the whole purpose of getting somebody to hold your cold water is that you can't trace it back to
Exactly.
you. I mean, what's the point of?
But then obviously you can see therefore the risks involved in
Yeah.
that, because it goes with to say, well, clearly that's a major source of terrorism funding or money laundering. So it's a perfect product for that.
Yeah. But-
So of course you want to impact it, but you've got to change that then to make any difference to it. So you're going to have to bring in some other rules about how you can access that information. And I therefore, will
Wow.
it go away? Will it actually lose popularity
Well, I
as a
mean,
product?
yeah. Well,
Possibly. If people are using it for secrecy in the first place,
Yeah.
you now take that away, then it's going to lose some popularity.
But also, let's just say, for example, if things being extended further when there's a, actual attack or whatever, when the counterterrorism unit track back these things, if you're the unfortunate accountant that will unfortunately verify that, I mean, how much problem you will have? Just try to.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I think we're still waiting on guidance
Yes.
from Austrac around some of
Yeah,
those,
sorry,
particularly
just-
the digital currencies.
I'm just interested in that part of it.
Yeah, no.
That's where everyone would know. I'm a bit of a geek on this one. So.
Okay, customer due diligence. Customer due diligence, or CDD, you'll see probably the short term thrown around a lot, is the process of knowing exactly who your client is and understanding the nature of their business. You must verify identity using government issued documents or approved digital methods. Identify and verify beneficial owners and apply ongoing monitoring, not just at onboarding of your clients. It is not a one-time check, it is an ongoing obligation. So the big question is, what does this mean for our clients? For clients, it will mean providing more documentation at the start, undergoing beneficial owner checks if they operate through entities, and accepting ongoing monitoring of transactions. Some engagements will take longer to set up, so early communication will be important to manage expectations. And of course, with increased due diligence in these matters, it will impact how much we're charging our clients, because there will be time costs to this.
Is there any products out there that does fit those criteria? So, or at least I guess.
There's a lot coming out on the market, and whether any of them meet all the obligations.
Yeah, I mean,
Wait to see.
we're looking at it obviously. I mean, internally,
Mm.
we're the same firm. We are looking at it internally. Australian Post Digital ID has just phased out the market, which
Yes.
is being one of the most reliable one. So I guess, what's for accountants, how are they going to find a product that suitable? I mean, obviously Australia is not going to recommend you to go to a product, right? So
No, Austrac will release basic plans for people to adapt. but they are for really low risk small firms. That you still have to adapt to your company. I think a lot of companies will end up outsourcing the obligations. They'll still have to oversee everything, but whether firms are around that will do that, we're still waiting to see. It's still so early.
And there's also government data. I mean, we had the director identification number system put in a few years ago, which actually sounds like it would be very helpful in making sure that you're actually identifying directors.
It will be the purpose.
It'd be great, but do we have access to it? No. So maybe that's got to change as well too. If they want us to do this work, they've got to give us the resources to do so. So perhaps that's something that maybe that the accounting sector can take up with the appropriate authorities and say, well, why can't we use something like the DIM system to help us identify the directors?
I mean, just go back a step, right? I mean, if you talk about driver license, for example, I mean, except for, some certain agency, I don't think even anyone have direct access to driver license to verify that driver license is actually correct.
No.
How are we supposed to even do that? I mean, we can't exactly ask, I don't know, RMS every single time, is it?
Well, whether they introduce something like they did during COVID with the sign-ins, with the licenses, whether they do something that they can essentially tap and it sends the deep verification to us. I don't know.
There's some products
should trademark it.
Quite a bit, right?
It's going to cost a lot, and
So
that's
it's going to be
that's
sorry. I spent so much questions.
the clients ultimately probably. So
well, that's one of the areas we'll cover at the end, with really how we're going to address the costs of implementing these systems and how we're going to pass them on. I think that's a discussion in itself.
Quite a bit of impact for individual tax returns clients.
Yes, it is. So we'll talk a bit about client risk profiling for accountants. So this means assessing each client's likelihood of being involved in financial crime based on factors such as the industry they operate in, where they're located, the size and type of transactions they're involved in, their ownership structure. Higher risk clients will require enhanced due diligence, which can mean more detailed verification and more frequent reviews. So, suspicious matter reporting. Essentially, if you suspect that a client or transaction may be linked to money laundering, terrorism financing, or identity fraud, you must lodge a suspicious matter report with AUSTRAC within 3 business days of forming that suspicion. This doesn't mean you have to have proven it. It's just if you suspect. You cannot tell the client that you have done this. That would be tipping off, which is prohibited. If you make a report in good faith, you are protected from legal liability, even if it turns out nothing was wrong.
So, does that mean that? Sorry, I was just finding this is a bit amusing, but so you saw a transaction on zero account. I'm just trying to think on the accountant's perspective. Within 3 business days,
you have to
dupe the guy in. Is that what it means?
You do, and it's just if you suspect it. You don't even have to have proven it. You are allowed to talk internally now about suspicions. Previously, you weren't. So you can, if an employee sees something, they can discuss it with their manager or the partner.
Of course.
And previously, you weren't allowed to even have those internal discussions.
Really?
So at least you can have those now, but you must not tell the client at all if you suspect anything.
Oh, but I mean,
or report anything.
I mean, it's not going to take a genius clients 5 seconds to work out who dropped them in, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, that's true. That's true.
And it may protect you from legal action, but what about any other sort of retaliatory action as well too?
Yeah, I mean, also just the client
financially
pull out from the truck from your office.
Exactly.
It's going to be detrimental to your bottom line.
Yeah. And a lot of what you'll see there is the common scenarios, and that's unexplained cash flow, offshore entities, reluctance of them to provide any documents to you. Very common.
It's a bit difficult for like people with overseas connections and whatnot. So I mean,
I think it's going to be dependent on where overseas.
well, I mean,
Like if they're in one of the listed, I suppose, listed companies where we have
Yeah.
borders like Lebanon and places like that, you would have to.
So I think a lot
on the
of
watch
them
list or something.
will be a bit
There is a
bespoke
watch
because
list.
one company might be doing that quite normally.
Yes.
Another company might not be.
Might
So
not
it's
be.
got to be a little bit bespoke and sort of as per that client.
So
So
I
that's
guess-
going to be challenging, I think.
Family contribution is off, right? So like, I mean, a lot of clients rely on overseas support and
Yes.
whatever. You know, they probably make money from overseas business activity. They're moving back to Australia or moving offshore.
Yeah, and chances are a lot of it will be reported now if they don't know, if your accountant doesn't know where it's coming from.
Jeez.
So
Just-
they will
just
be
keep on
obliged to
messing.
report it. So
Gotta be pretty insane.
yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
I mean, the guy just, I mean, all the accountants in the room, all they do every day is just doping people in.
I know. Spend your whole time doing it. Yes.
It's ridiculous.
Um, So you probably may have heard of an AML program. So every firm must have a written AML CTF program, which has two parts. Part A is risk management. This covers your firm-wide risk assessment, your governance and oversight arrangements, appointing an AML compliance officer and training your staff. Part B is customer identification mandate. This sets out your procedures for verifying clients, checking beneficial ownership, and identifying politically exposed persons. Your program must be tailored to your own firm. You cannot use generic templates. They will not satisfy AUSTRAC.
There's a questions online from Clarence. Is the SML will be compromised of privileged information?
SMR, the Suspicious Matters
Suspicious.
Register. AUSTRAC haven't said a lot about that yet. We're still waiting for further guidance from them. We hope that will be released in their October publications. So
And it's privilege, right? I mean, otherwise, the client just need to sue you. I mean, Clarence is the so if you just sue you,
sorry.
if someone just sued you and subpoenaed you for the records or issue order production for that SML, won't that? I mean, how many times you did the guide in, you just listed all right there, right?
No, I'm sure. I believe they will be privileged. So
confidential sort of communication logs.
Yeah. And as long as things are, AUSTRAC's very prudent on documentation. So as long as you document that it's privileged and won't be released, that covers you a lot. So tipping off reforms and AML program overhaul. From March 2025, the law was clarified around what you can and cannot say about suspicious matter reporting, including within your firm, which is what we discussed. AUSTRAC expects your programs now to be updated regularly as your services, clients and risk change, and you must document why you make each compliance decision. AUSTRAC have mentioned that as long as they see robust documentation on why you've made a decision not to report something, that can satisfy them. Instead of issuing fines, they're more likely to issue suggestions for improvement. Okay, now we get to the digital assets.
My interest.
So The program now covers virtual asset services. This includes your cryptocurrency exchanges, stablecoin issuers, and I always say this wrong, NFTs, I'll just say NFTs, marketplaces. If you advise clients in this space, you will need to verify digital wallet ownership, confirm the source of funds, and use systems capable of tracing blockchain transactions. So this is the big thing we were talking about. Because that will cost a lot of money.
That is costing a lot. I mean, blockchain tracking, it's a very advanced technology done by a lot of digital forensic, and
we've tried it.
Right. We've tried, it just won't have access to it at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it's impossible.
So I think it's a very
And it's something accountants have to consider if they're dealing with a one-off client that's in cryptocurrency. They may have to make the decision not to work with them because the cost of compliance is too high.
That's
it's a big call.
It is a big call, but
it's like, I mean, there's
you may get people that end up specialising in dealing with
I suspect that's an opportunity. I mean, from this typical sort of opportunities arise. One will be for firms who specialise in the area who can afford to invest in the system to do it. And maybe you outsource that to them, so there's almost a joint sort of venture going on.
Yes, and I think
there are your privacy issues perhaps.
But the obligation still with the accountant.
Yes, that's right, exactly.
Well, that's
so it's not it is a problem.
Yep.
The obligation still stays. So
okay.
Yes, governance and compliance. So accountability is moving right to the top. So board members and executives can now be personally liable for compliance failures. AML awareness must now be embedded across the whole firm, not just in compliance teams. This means regular reporting to leadership, clear escalation processes, and a culture where red flags are taken seriously.
So what happens if you're doing virtual CRF, your limitation usually just on doing the financial, but does that mean that you need to be part of that firm's culture as well for virtual CFO? Outsourcing CFO or whatever the term is.
My thought would be you would have to be on some level. There'd be an obligation.
Yeah.
Virtual CFO, you're going to be physically there, right? Or at least you have to have.
You're going to have some sort of oversight on the compliance.
Yeah, because traditionally, virtual CFO doesn't really involve in the corporate governance, right?
Yes.
But how you
change
sort of have to
relationship.
sort of to understand that whoever you're servicing the firm.
Yes. Is. So Austrac have announced they.
Oh my God.
Austrac has announced they are establishing a small business AML CTF starter program. So in December 2025, they will launch the small business starter toolkit. It will include pre-structured templates, simple risk assessment guides, and step-by-step onboarding procedures. It's designed purely for low-risk small practices, but if you use it, you will still need to tailor it to the services you provide and your client base.
So basically, they need to embed to the engagement process.
Yeah.
I was just going to say,
not only your engagement process, but particularly if you've got a business that has ongoing client work like tax, etc. Usually every year you review the situation of that client and see whether they will, that would be the time you'd also review through your process.
See the question there about deceased estates, and I believe you are probably correct. They potentially
think so.
Yes. I would think so.
I think so.
Well, it will be part of the lawyer's work.
Yeah.
Part of the accountant's work where they managing the deceased estate. Right?
Yes, if you're involved in the transfer, if it's significant, you will need to
Because I imagine the whole idea is not just looking at ongoing or future transactions, but past transactions as well, if you have enough evidence. So if the estate consists of half a dozen properties that have obviously been acquired for cash over the last 5 years, then you would have to go back and
You'd have to go back.
What happens if it's longer than that? Like, some of the deceased estate property that 20, 30 years old, back then, do we, I guess it's like extending to the origin of the cash or origin of the purchase? Crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if they will. I don't think they'll go back quite. It's that far.
Actually, if you're not required to keep the records for that.
Yeah, I think it will come down to that sort of 7-year.
Yeah.
Thing in line with books and
But that's
records.
not been identified yet.
No. Like I said, we're still waiting for a lot of information to come out.
So when you mentioned that KYC, did the accountant have to revisit that every year?
You have to revisit
It's so.
The KYC every year.
Yeah, you have to do a basic sort of
Make sure the person
overview.
is the person.
Anytime if a client suddenly started transactioning with a lot of overseas transactions and they previously weren't, their risk profile would increase. And that would mean you'd stop and you'd go, okay, they're now a level 2. If that's the system you use, we now need to get X, Y, and Z from them.
Right. So
extra documentation, ask where the transactions are going and evidence to support.
It's like what you have already been done in the past year. Let's say they're on level 1 and actually, for example, let's say certain KYC process has been completed, local, driver license or whatever the criteria has been verified. But if you move to level 2, what you have done in level 1, do you have to repeat it again or extend the?
I would say I believe it's an extension of it. So yes. Okay. Sorry, education and support. So Austrac is running a tiered education program throughout this year, from beginner content for those new to AML to the advanced guidelines for comprehensive specialists. There are webinars, workshops, and downloadable resources. And by late 2025, they will have more sector-specific guidance for accountants. And hopefully that will give us a lot more oversight into what they're expecting. But definitely, if you're not signed up to the Austrac website, to their newsletters, I would highly recommend that you do so.
They can start now.
You can start now. Read what they've got, sample packages, programs and things online. They've got lots of resources.
Were those webinars, they've already held some webinars, were they on a repeat system?
Some were, and they will be online later.
Right.
But they do have some basic training in AML that's available and it's free. So go and have a look. So challenges and considerations. So the challenges will include finding the time and the budget for implementation, keeping your staff trained and up to date, and protecting your firm's reputation. The key is to start early and use all the resources available to you.
So when you do the staff training, what sort of degree of staff training is required?
Enough so that your staff know what is suspicious. What is a transaction?
What are the triggers
for a suspicious matter report? And you'll have to, using Austrac's guidelines, you'll have to set those yourself. So you'll have to say every transaction over $10,000 that's going X, Y, and Z, we need to get a clear documentation of where that's going, or we need to understand that transaction.
So it's everybody bottom up in the staff.
Bottom up.
Everyone across the firm has to be aware.
Your admin staff.
Yeah.
All the way to isn't it?
Yes.
So let's just say, generally speaking, in our current industry, accountants move around pretty frequently, especially at the junior level. And I mean, at the senior level, you probably have a robust trainings. They all have all the experience. But if you're on the junior level, they don't have that experience. They rotate too
I
fast.
would say it will be something that will have to become part of your employee onboarding. Is that they'll give it
Definitely.
with some training,
Yes.
So basically,
Even basic.
basic when they start.
I'm just trying to think of all a small practice like two partnerships sort of
I know.
practice.
Yep.
I mean, it's going to cost quite a bit just to
It is.
onboarding one client. Sorry, one customer, or sorry, one employees.
Yes.
Get them to the level that is satisfied in order to satisfy that AML program.
Yep. And yeah, it's one of the things
And
we've
whether
been
or not,
talking about.
you can actually pass those costs on to your clients as well.
I suspect no.
Yes, that's right, exactly.
Yeah.
So there'll at least something maybe, but not all of it.
So what happens if it's overseas?
Well, yeah, but then you've got the whole issue is you can outsource some of the work as well, but the
can't
responsibility
outsource
stays with you
Yeah, exactly.
as a business owner too. So I think that's a major consideration for accountants and solicitors and
It is.
agents.
Some of the culture overseas may consider those kind of transactions as normal, but
Yeah.
Actually, that's right.
Potentially a
So
lot
would they
more.
recognise it in the same way that we would? Maybe not.
exactly. Maybe not.
So AUSTRAC enforcement and expanded powers. So AUSTRAC now has increased authority to request more data and conduct in-depth examination of any transactions. They have, and they can conduct in-depth audits of firms, limit the ability to claim self-incrimination as a defence. And again, being proactive and transparent will help you avoid enforcement action. We were talking about the need to document everything. And again, documentation is the key. Document all your decisions for every matter.
I'm just like, so Sue has made a comment that it's going to be a huge impulse. So I completely agree. It's just like, I mean, if you have an export-import business, I mean, on the small amounts, for example, some of the products you ship to certain country, I mean, do you have to document every single shipment to those country? I mean, but if you're just shipping a bag of lollies or something, you still have to document it.
It just seems they haven't taken account of the size
Practical.
Yeah.
accounting.
And I think a lot of
PwC, who've got hundreds and thousands of employees do this stuff. Where firms of less than 20 is a rule. So it's disproportionate impost on us. We've got the same obligations as a firm 10 times our size.
Yes.
They don't have 10 times the revenue.
The resources, or access to certain, technology platforms or whatever.
Yes, and I think that's going to be a major issue. So I agree with Sue totally.
Yes.
So there's another.
Oh, is there another? Their funds from being overdue. How far do we have to go in terms of documenting the source of funds?
Well, again, there will be limits, won't there?
There will be limits.
So,
I imagine we would have to ask the questions, try and find out where they're from. We're not going to be in a position to prove any of that.
No, I think you have to ask the client the questions, and you can only accept what they're saying. If you're suspicious of anything, then of course you have to report it.
So it may come down to whether that's a normal, so to speak, part of their business.
Part of their business.
And that's why it's a fairly bespoke thing. You've got to look at it in terms of the business you're doing.
Yeah.
If it's a one-off or it increases in amounts, then you'd need to probably look into it further. But there's going to be a limit to what you can actually do.
And that's when, if there's where you have to consider reporting it, because you're suspicious because you don't have enough information.
Exactly.
So basically, if you don't have enough, you just report it.
You report it. You have to, because you're unable to verify where the funds have come from. So, and that covers you, and it puts the onus on AUSTRAC to then.
So, for example, if there's an overseas entity, let's say a parent entity put, I don't know, $1 million transfer into a subsidiary, operations here. Is that just the transfer paper sufficient, or you know, do you want the parents to give you a loan document, for example?
I probably wouldn't mind asking for it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think that probably goes to the heart of the reason why it's there is understanding what those transactions are. If they're able to say, you know, some sort of stat deck from the parents saying, yes, I loaned $1 million to my child, I'd probably be happy with that.
Yeah, but you'd want something written on with it.
But it doesn't require the accountant to say, hey, where's the parents getting their money from?
I don't believe.
That's one
Can you imagine? Oh, my goodness.
It'd never end. You'd be going for years.
Exactly.
You're doing the government work for them. Anyway.
So
You are already.
the big question is a lot of people have is what happens if you don't comply? Financial penalties exceeding $26,000 per day for ongoing breaches of AML
Per day.
obligations. Yes. Court action, of course, you can lose any licenses or license restrictions or be forced deregistration. And one of the biggest ones is the public reputational damage. If you are seen not to comply, your firm's name is published on AUSTRAC, and it does damage your reputation.
Well, AUSTRAC is wrong, and
then they'd have to do a retraction, I suppose.
the damage is done, right?
Exactly. Retractions are very limited.
Yeah,
Good luck with that one.
I know.
There's a comment or question, sorry.
Yeah, I think that's true.
If they're rejected through proper normal banking channels, the onus would be on the bank. Yes. I believe you would still need to do some due diligence to verify that it has come through the correct channels. But you're right, the biggest onus would be on the bank.
Certainly, AUSTRAC could refer the matter to the bank or whatever.
Yes. But you'd
If you
still
weren't able to
need to do, okay,
There'll be
where's that come from?
Where's that come from? Yeah.
And just verify that, I think would be hopefully be enough. So just looking at where I'm up to. Conclusion and next steps. The message from AUSTRAC is clear, and that's we should start now. Conduct our risk assessment, start drafting our programs, and particularly training staff, and use the support available from AUSTRAC and any professional bodies you may belong to. And by embedding the compliance in your daily operations now will help protect your firm, your clients, and the wider community.
So just remind me again, it's 1st of July is the deadline.
1st of July, but there's a little bit of a leeway to the 29th of July.
So
you've got it.
Not really.
No. If you haven't got it in place, that's not
Not gonna happen.
No. So essentially, I think they're saying be registered
get it done
by March, not now. They're not accepting them now. By March, they'll open them later this year, I believe, but March, and then ready to go 1st of July.
You should at least be starting to think about
Well, you've got to start
what you've got to do. That's right. And talk about it with your staff, get them used to the idea that this is coming in.
Start the training.
Yep. Start thinking about what your compliance program might look like.
Look at who your clients are, who you're dealing with, and what their risk profiles might be. I know I've started doing that with jobs that come in, looking at who they are and thinking, exactly this level.
And think about the costs. It's time to start planning for your business. Obviously not knowing what these costs are, but there will be costs. So it's probably time to start thinking about how they're going to impact your business, and what you will need to incur, both in straight out costs, but also in opportunity costs, time for staff, training, etc. So I think there'll be a number of those.
Yes, and now is our last bit, our little sales pitch. How can DBT McLeod help? We specialise in translating AML CTF obligations into practical, workable systems for accounting firms. We can help you design a program that matches your risk profile and conduct practical risk assessments and provide you with ongoing support with reporting and program reviews. Thank you. And now we can have questions if anyone has.
Sorry, I've been jumping the gun quite a bit. I can't hold my question on that one.
So I think one thing that we won't know, but we will have to watch out for those triggers. So the triggers will be, I think, bespoke to your particular firm. You know, in the same way that you've got ASIC alerts on.
And industry is going to be a key.
Yes, absolutely. We will have to sort of try and set up different alerts in various areas so that reminds you to maybe revisit a client or revisit transactions or find out some more information. Yeah, so triggers will be a big one, I think.
Will, can you come here, please? I need you for 2 seconds.
Okay.
Coming. The other one too, and it's interesting, we were talking about the extent of these. I noticed I think it might have been an email, maybe Accounts Daily or something like that, that said that there's going to do another inquiry into the capability of law enforcement to actually respond to money laundering and financial crime. So that was actually opened up, I think, some time ago. There's already been some submissions put in, but on the 31st of July, the Parliamentary Joint Committee on Law Enforcement referred its inquiry into the capability of law enforcement to respond. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that and whether that may then have any impact or downwards impact on the very large requirements that this law has.
Yes. So you can think about it. I mean, each accountant with, let's say, 100 clients. I have a client that's 50, I don't know, whatever, transaction reporting every month. And who's going to do the review?
Yeah.
So
that's right. You're going to have, and this is when new triggers are going to come in as well. You're going to have specific programs you're running through. I don't know if you're using spreadsheets that alert you to certain things, and it's going to cost.
Yeah, that's right. And I think we've already got, ASIC are a regulatory body over companies. We know how efficient they are and how well resourced and how well they, respond to issues in the corporate community. I can't see AUSTRAC being much different, to be honest. I think this is a whole lot of impost on the accounting body, legal, but everyone will be reporting for fear of not doing the right thing. So AUSTRAC are going to be exactly.
I'll report anything that I see.
That's right. Just to avoid being fined. So AUSTRAC are going to be absolutely inundated with reporting, I would imagine. How are they going to cope with that? Not well, I would have thought.
No.
So, but I wouldn't use that as an excuse for not doing it.
No.
We got warned here, but
there will be, and you can outsource. They have come out and said you're allowed to outsource your compliance to separate firms, but the onus is still
on you. Yeah.
So you still have to have that oversight.
Well, if you're not sure, you can report, aren't you? Just to make sure you're covered.
But what if there's a communication differences between this outsourcing firm?
And that's a risk in itself. If you outsource it, are they going to understand your industry and what you do?
Or understand the clients and they're going to just black everything that they see and whatever.
Like certain clients will have lots of overseas transactions as part of
AI will be deployed in this sector.
I believe it will.
Yes.
To make a comment that AUSTRAC is not going to act on half of that.
Exactly.
And
I think it's safe to say that they probably act on 1% of any transaction they reported.
We've had an instance where we have a long time ago reported something to AUSTRAC and they were like, no,
don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. And we're like, okay, so they get away with it. Okay.
It's enforceable. I mean, if you think about it, like the next step, like let's say you report it, they pick on it. let's go through that. You know,
I think
how are they actually enforcing it? It's the next step.
they will
right?
they will have some,
I think
cases.
yeah, I think it'll tone down.
I think it will tone down.
Yeah.
They just don't have the funds or resources to do it.
Yeah.
So something's going to have to be cut off, I think, just to get it through.
So
Yeah.
I think I read somewhere along the line that we're the only 5 country in the world that not in compliance of the AML gold
Yeah.
standard.
Yes.
Whatever.
Yes.
One is China, one is America. And we are apparently the third or something, and then some other African country or something.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, some African country has.
And that's what
Pretty
Australia are doing this. They're
Yeah.
pushing to get us up to the international
And
standard.
I absolutely agree on the need to do that, right?
Yes.
There's no doubt about that. I just think the balance is
It's
a
not
little off.
practical.
And
Yeah.
the practicality.
The obligations I believe, need to be a bit different,
Yeah.
dependent on the size.
And it may be that it's a case of it's an ambit sort of out there, and then let's see what works and what doesn't, and bring it back to a more realistic approach.
Yes.
In the meantime, we have to do what we have to do.
2-minute comment. How are we? Sorry, there's a lot. How are the other country implementing this, and can we source something from elsewhere? I mean, we've done some.
Haven't they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're in line with the UK standards.
Yeah. Do you want to have a mention about the 2 standards that you discovered, or you told me the other day, like the US and the American?
Oh yeah, there's 2 sort of standards, which is the American and everyone else. So there is a difference, and we're in line with the UK. America's got its own.
That's why they're not compliant, right?
Yeah, so as with our accounting standards and everything, we sort of tend to follow what the UK is doing.
That's right. So what's this one?
So for your business.
Monetary movements would be act percent.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, good point.
yes, that's true.
Yes.
That's true.
That'll be part of your ongoing engagement and,
Yeah.
and annual review or whatever you do.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
But I would imagine that only apply to low risk clients or your level 1. So
Yeah.
that's sort of like when you go to the next steps, you really need to take certain.
You might have to take steps yourself other than just accept their word.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
So that'll come down to your, and that's one that's still a bit vague for me, is identifying those different levels of risk. That's going to be a challenge. Some will be obvious, not saying that, but I think the ones that are not clearly very risky or little risky are going to be difficult to actually identify what levels they should be.
Yeah.
We'll do it in a while when we get used to it. I think
think so.
it's going to be a bit hodgepodge myself.
It is going to be a bit, and a lot of it's going to.
Quite think about like export clients, for example, because obviously there's a lot of country has restrictions on imported goods, or there's sanctions on those countries. I mean, if as an accountant, are we supposed to track where the shipment's ending? I mean, will be ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, you might do some spot checking, like.
But how are you guaranteeing the ship is it's not going to on ship it to a different country, right? So
yeah, look, there's only so much as accountants we can do. So, yeah.
Can you imagine?
And I'm coming down to this hope that in October, they're going to give us more industry specific guidance.
Yeah.
And because else they're going to be inundated with suspicious matter reports, because people are just going to go, well, I don't know.
So they're going to, yeah.
And they're never going to keep up. So.
And it's just new concepts like politically exposed persons.
I know.
It's a great name.
They keep talking about PEPs in an Austrac thing, and I was like, what's a PEP? What's a PEP?
A politically exposed person. And so just different concepts like that we've got to get our heads around as well too. And again, how do you know whether that person, a bit of a judgment call on that?
And
to some extent
it is. But a question I've had often is what happens if a client won't give you the ID? And the simple answer is, for Austrac, is you do not engage with them.
Well, that would, and I think that would be fairly.
Yeah, well, you have to turn them away.
Yeah.
You have to say we can't carry on this business relationship. But
So you hope not too many of your clients do that, otherwise you're
Yeah.
business.
Yes, and that's what's good to start now, looking at your clients and
Well,
look
talk-
particularly around those high risk clients and start talking with them.
Yeah, get them used to the idea that
Yeah,
they're going to have to do
say,
this on a
look.
regular basis as well. You don't want any nasty surprises for
No.
them because they're not going to be happy. So
So keeping that communication open with your
key,
clients
yeah.
is going to be key.
definitely.
All right, Teddy, do you have any comments or questions? Otherwise, we can close. We almost time.
Yeah, look, I don't have any other question, but I suppose this is not just wait and see, right? This is will apply from next year, 2026,
It's
right?
coming.
It's coming.
Yeah.
So it's not. I don't think it's something that like it's you should do it now rather than
Yeah.
whether or not you need to do it.
Yeah.
It's a
And that's
must.
why we say I'd start looking at my clients,
Yeah, start thinking about what
thinking
you
about
want to
that
do.
risk.
Yeah.
Where would you rank them in your risk profiles? And
Yeah, I mean, CPA is doing some sort of advocacy and sort of thing, trying to get them more clear guidance on it. But unfortunately, the law is it's already passed.
Yes.
Yes. CPA's perspective is that it's coming. It's just a matter how they will provide with some resources for the smaller practitioner. Hopefully, they can adapt to this much easier. But like you said, it's all has to be individually styled or individually
tailored to your firm and your client base.
tailored. And if that's the case, then you may as well start early and then insert anything that CPA will provide in some point. I mean, CPA has a website for that, just to let everyone know on this. CPA has a website on it. There's some resources on it. But again, it really boils down to you have to do it individually for you,
Yes.
for your firm.
And you've got to remember, if you are the director or the partner, the risk at the end of the day, it lies with you.
And again, and to that last question about, you're right, suspicion reporting is subjective, but you're balancing the costs against you personally, which could be $26,000 a day.
Yeah.
Against the risk of losing the client. So,
and again, it comes down to you've got to document it. And you've got to think, if I was an independent person coming out, and would I be satisfied with your documentation of the reason for not reporting it?
and even that might be worth getting someone outside the firm to actually look at what you've done.
Yes.
And give their opinion as someone not involved with it.
Yeah.
To look at it with a fresh set of eyes and go, well, yes, that makes sense, or no, I think you need to.
Increase your standard.
Yeah, exactly.
Increase your standard.
Material.
Yeah.
But also, I guess I'll take that question as one example as well. It's very subjective. What happens if you're reporting a client on thousands of transactions that is subjectively suspicious, and then the client turned out to be all genuinely
I think
transactions.
Probably, if there were a lot of similar transactions, you'd probably report that and say,
as a group.
Group, yeah.
And say,
Because I'm
I've
just
noted these, I can't ascertain what they're for or who the funds are from.
Yeah. I'm also thinking, like, if the client turn around and say, well, I mean, maybe, so like I said, I think they will find out, we'll stop them in about 5 seconds.
Well, you'd hope the clients will understand that you need to know.
Yeah, so that's in your engagement.
That's in your engagement.
Disclosure, they have to understand, because I'll just try to think like, if you, subjectively reported 1,000 transactions, turn around to be not, I think I'd be able to come around and say, hey, you misconduct or whatever, as a professional.
I think you're supposed to be protected by what's true.
You're going to lose the client, so commercially.
Well, that's
Commercially, you're going to lose
that's the minimum, right?
And that's where you have to have those open and honest conversations with your clients now and say, look, you need to be prepared to tell me X, Y, and Z. If you can't give me that information, then there is going to be issues.
Can the client sign a, let's say, a disclaimer or a release or indemnity saying that they're not going to come around and sue you if you have to report it under the circumstances? Because that always.
I think that's something you have to.
So let's say that 1,000 client, for example, 1,000 transaction client, for example, what happens if they got and end up getting raided by the anti-terrorism task force, for example?
You think they would have picked up on something then? They're gonna do that.
You will hope that it becomes something.
And you just don't open your door and there's a whole lot of police standing there and rage.
Well, I'm just saying, like, you know, they may turn around and say, hey, you're causing me this business and whatever because you subjectively reporting
And you
a lot of
lose
things,
you
you know.
lose the client.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but again, as long as you can document everything you've
That's a
done.
fair comment. That's exactly what I'm trying to get at.
Yes,
Yeah, the professional indemnity insurance is
it's
going
going to go up.
But interestingly, that question then raises another question. What are our PI insurers going to want to see as part of our annual renewals as well?
Yeah.
Are they going to require something from us in terms of our compliance programs? I would have thought so. Otherwise, what are they covering?
And hopefully
Is
they'll,
there a jail time for breach?
yes, there can be,
Oh, is that?
dependent on how serious.
Yes.
If you're involved criminally,
If you're involved, if you're
Definitely.
deemed to be involved in
Yeah.
it, then yes.
So what happens if you're just ignorant and never follow the process and does it?
They will
Is it
say
just a
it's
26,000?
not an
they
excuse.
said that. That's right.
Yeah.
So you can actually.
That's what they'll say.
I try my
You
best.
actually lose your professional.
Yeah. Yeah.
Memberships and,
Yeah, fair enough.
yeah.
I try my best.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't really see a way out.
No.
Fair enough.
It's very interesting, you know, as if as accountant we're not busy enough to,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, you become a police officer now, some sort of anti-terrorism officer.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta do that job for them.
That's exactly right. We are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think that's too much practical on it. It's just
No.
I
Well, if you look at the resources that say the police have at the moment, there's no
they can't do
way.
their job.
They can't do it either.
The process is slow enough with
That's
what
right.
they've currently got on.
And that's probably half the reason for it. They've all the government bodies gone, we're not doing it, right? We don't have.
We'll put it to the account.
Let's see if we can do anything about it.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry, we enough of us backing the thing.
No solutions, just lots of questions now.
Yeah, a lot
Yeah.
of questions.
But a lot to be still sorted out. And I think that's the big
Yeah,
thing.
and that's the big frustration.
It is
as well.
very frustrating.
On the Austrek webinars, you could see everyone was getting incredibly frustrated because they just kept deferring. Whenever
Don't know.
anyone asked a
Yeah.
question,
Yeah.
wait till October. Oh, you're not asking a question about what we've directly talked about, so we're not going to
Yeah, I
answer
saw
it.
that. Yeah,
And it's like,
Yeah.
okay,
yeah.
so it's very frustrating for everyone involved.
But obviously we're happy to sort of bring updates as well
Yes,
with it. So we obviously will keep our eyes very closely on what's going on with Austrek and anyone else, as will most
Yes,
players in the
yeah.
market. So we're more than happy to come back if you'll have us and do an update and let everyone know hopefully what's changing.
yeah,
Or at least some certainty,
Next year.
Yeah.
some more
Work on
certainty
that,
and
yeah.
definitions and so on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
hopefully there's some.
Fingers crossed there'll be a lot more clarity soon. Just a humble.
Do we have the positive duty to assist the government to enforce the law?
It's like, interesting. Any lawyers here? You are, aren't there? After that.
Actually, it might be worth looking at maybe the explanatory statement to the bill or something to see if that was actually mentioned. There's nothing.
The intention of the law.
Yeah, exactly. What is the intention? How far do they intend to use these professions
What's the
to assist them?
expectations? Yeah.
That might be something we'd have a look at actually.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting because if that's the case, then your duty doesn't stop once you've reported, for example. You might actually have an ongoing duty to do
To us.
work. Yes.
So if you're
Yeah.
an employee, you become
To assist.
Yeah.
you become a
Also-
spy as well.
It's the law. Imagine one.
They're really interested. I guess it was also extend to the part of like, if they're really interested in the transaction, do they just contact you and just say, "Hey, I'm very interested in this client. I need everything," and then they will what?
They would have
Well,
to,
they can do that already, really.
yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. And certainly the police and so on, if there are, we've had,
We've had the
We've had,
police reach out to us,
yeah.
yeah.
But not like they're saying that, hey, do you have obligation to actually assist them by
Yeah.
spying on your own client, for example?
I know, I just, I'm gonna actually.
And the
read this
terms
one.
of say, if you were in, I don't think spying, but if you had the books and records,
Snitching.
Yeah, would you have to hand them over?
you would have to, I suppose, subpoena them, and you'd have to hand them over. But I don't think you'd be a spy on them. That would be interesting.
Yeah,
Next level.
Next level.
maybe we take that on
Lead
the
training.
question and look into that. I
Yeah,
think that's quite
look into
interesting.
that.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Teddy.
All right, beautiful. So yeah, we haven't had we haven't had a lot of questions like this for a while. So I think it's a very good topic to discuss. And yeah, thanks Swan, thanks Angela, and thanks to the team at DVT McLeod for your time, expertise, and insightful presentation. If any one of you have any other question or anything that you need help, please you can contact them directly, and I'm sure the team at DVT McLeod will be able to assist you further. So thank you all once again for attending tonight's sessions, and we hope to see you all back again in a month's time, and we will still have our online session. Until then, please stay connected. Thanks, everyone.
Hey, operator.
Thank you. Good night.
See ya.
Right.
Bye.